Right now, I want to talk about termites. And so, some countries, termites aren't such a big thing, but here in Queensland and in Australia, we have a lot of environments that they just love. Okay, so obviously termites live outdoors, but homes, timber, that's part of what they love to live in. And so we've included some information about termites. Now, I want you to remember that you're not a termite inspector, so the onus is not on you to determine the extent of any termite infestation, or in fact, even if there is one. The onus is on you to walk around a home and keep your eyes peeled for certain signs of termites that might therefore tempt you to have a building and pest inspection done if you're indeed interested in that home. In fact, not tempt you, that was the wrong thing to say, lead you to have a building and pest inspection done. And whilst I always say have a building and pest inspection done, when we do talk about that, we also talk about the fact that in a really hot market, to be competitive, you might submit your offer saying that, yeah, it's subject to a 7-day building and pest inspection favourable report. And 3 other people submitted offers saying, we're going to scrap the building and pest inspection report, don't worry. That makes their offer much more enticing. And so here I am today to help you to decide if you are interested in getting a pest inspection. When you're identifying termite activity, it's not just important to look for them in homes that you want to buy. It's probably more important to look for them in homes that you own or are currently living in, because it's best to catch them before they do too much damage. But let's go through the termite activity information together. And so you can see here, whilst I'm not advising you to forego a pest inspection before you buy a home, I do want you to be able to spot the activity yourself if there are termites. And of course, there are times where you can't do that, and we'll explain that in a minute. But the difficulty is that nowadays, when we're making an offer on a home, it's quite possible that the seller is receiving multiple offers for that home. And a savvy buyer will submit an offer knowing that there are multiple offers, and they will say, we will forego and waiver the building and pest inspection. And they're quite within their rights to do that. It does mean that if they buy the home, that they've got no idea what it's like underneath the surface. They might have an idea because the seller might have shared with them previous building and pest inspection reports. They might have an idea because they've walked through the place with a builder friend, but they don't know 100%, do they? So it's tricky, because should you decide to be one of those competitive buyers and put forward an offer and waiver your right to a building and pest inspection, then I would highly encourage you to at least be able to observe with your own eyes whether or not you can see some termite activity in that home. Definitely. So, entry points. Wood to ground contact. Termites often enter homes through wooden structures that make contact with the soil. So therefore, when we build homes in Australia, we don't have timber from the home touching or coming in contact with the soil. In fact, there's a distance that it has to be from the soil. And because that allows them direct access to move easily between the ground and the wood components of the house. Cracks and gaps. They can also enter through small cracks in the foundation, gaps around pipes, and openings in walls. So these entry points provide a pathway for the termites to access the interior and the walls of the home. The most common types of termites in Queensland and Australia are subterranean termites, which build their nests underground, and they prefer to infest basements and crawl spaces. And these areas often have higher moisture levels, making them attractive to termites. And wooden structures, skirting boards, door frames, window frames, structural beams. That one's scary, is it not? Prime targets, especially if they're made from untreated timber. Doesn't mean that treated timber is left out though. Drywood termites are less common because they generally infest things like furniture and structural wood without needing contact with the soil. So even though they're less common, they are possible. And conditions favouring infestation in a home is homes with leaks, poor drainage, or high humidity levels. They're more susceptible to the infestations. Doesn't mean that homes without those problems are safe from termites. Termites require moisture for survival. So areas like bathrooms, kitchens and basements are at higher risk. And lack of maintenance. Homes that are not maintained regularly, especially those with untreated wood or poor ventilation, are more vulnerable to termite infestations. Now, next page. With previous infestations, I need you to know and realise and remember that even though the seller may say, yes, there was a previous infestation, it was 3 years ago, we've had the termites removed, we've had regular checks to see if they've come back, they haven't tried to come back, it's all still very safe. That's wonderful. You know that there's no termites there. You'd ask for evidence of the regular maintenance and inspections. You do need to know what damage was done by those termites, because if there was damage done, what's the extent of it? Have you got photographs, and was it rectified? That's important. So how to spot termite activity in the walls? Termites can cause significant damage to homes, and early detection is crucial to prevent costly repairs. So here's a summary of some key signs that may indicate the presence of termites in your walls. Hollowed wood. So if there is, say, a post and you tap on it and it sounds unusual for a solid wood post, that would be a trigger that would make you wonder about what's going on with that. Frass, termite droppings, which resemble small pellets. They can be found near infested wood. You know, probably a pest inspector would have more of an eagle eye for that though. Mud packing. One of the most recognisable signs of termites is the presence of mud packing or mud tubes. Termites create these as they travel between their nest and food sources, often building what is known as a sub-nest or a bivouac. And homeowners might find piles of mud behind furniture, indicating there's termite activity, or they might not. Discoloration in plasterboard. Look for brownish or stains or spotting. The affected area may be large, resembling a football, and covered with tiny brown spots. And so this discoloration occurs as moisture from termite activity seeps through the plaster into beneath the paint. And audible signs, you know, at night time, probably because it's always quieter at night time, you actually might hear some sounds coming from the walls. So let's go now and just have a look at a couple of things I'd like to show you about termites, just to help you, because it's really tricky. You know, you don't get the opportunity to see a lot of termite damage unless, of course, you see a lot of homes. So enjoy. I'd like to show you an example of how termites can be inside a wall and they're totally undetectable. And so when you're trying to ascertain whether termites are in existence within a home, it's not really just not necessarily one strategy will come up with the answer of whether they're there or not. And so I want you to watch this video, which I will tell you which organisation it was afterwards. I'd like you to watch this and have a look at what this termite inspector has found.
Yeah, termite inspection here with my thermal camera. I've already done the visual inspection and the moisture meter, and now I'm going around the house with my thermal camera. And when I come into the toilet, I can show you what I've found. So all the walls look fine. There's the toilet. And now you can see that glowing there is just lots and lots of termites inside the wall, or we call it a bivouac. And as you can see, absolutely nothing there. But with the thermal camera, it stands out quite a fair bit. So at the moment,
I just wanted you to know that that video was on this website. It's called Conquered Termites Pest Management. And he's talking about here how he uses his thermal camera, and a little bit more information about it. That's where he has his video listed. And so bit of a plug for that organisation, and thank you for sharing that video. They are in southeast Queensland. Excellent. I'd like to plug another organisation here. Pest X has some information on their website. And here, for example, they've got a question. We've just bought a house recently and we're concerned about termites. And so they've answered that question. They've got a lot of information there, but what I love is they've actually got photographs for you to look at. And so here you can see some discoloration in the plasterboard, which they were referring to, and you can see some signs of bubbling paint that we've been talking about. So loving the photographs that you can find to educate yourself, photographs and videos, by having a look at termite inspectors' websites. There's one more here, and this here is one of those mud tubes, which is what they use to travel to and from food sources. They like to be underground. Here's more photographs of termite activity. And this is a website called johnsonpestcontrol.com. And they're actually in the United States, so we're not the only ones with termite issues, are we? Their termites may look different from ours, but they've got the same problems. Excellent. Looking for termites in an open home, it might be tempting for you to touch areas where you think, oh, that might be termite activity, and push in with your thumb or peel away paint or pick something to see what happens if you do. I would say the best, safest way is just touch, maybe just to see what's going on, and maybe knock. Don't do anything more than that. And this is why, because you don't want to create a scene at an open inspection. You don't want to damage the home, good grief. And you don't want to highlight defects in front of or to other buyers, because that is one sure way to really alienate you from the sales agent and therefore from the seller, should you wish to purchase that home. And now you're trying to be nice and negotiate with them. So bear that in mind.